Our brain often treats uncertainty as more stressful than bad news. Researchers have repeatedly found that people can experience more stress waiting for an outcome than receiving a negative outcome itself. Why? Because uncertainty keeps the prediction systems running. Your brain can adapt to reality. It struggles to adapt to maybe. The problem isn't that the brain wants answers. The problem is that it hates unanswered questions. You know what's neurologically strange? Some of the most perceptive people you'll ever meet, the ones who can read a room in seconds, catch a microshift in someone's tone, remember a detail everyone else filtered out, are also some of the most mentally exhausted people you'll ever meet. Not because they have more problems than everyone else, because their brain has a harder time letting go of unfinished ones. They lie awake at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation from earlier that day, not because something went wrong, because some part of their mind still registers the exchange as incomplete, like a file that never got saved. And here's the paradox at the center of all this. The same brain systems that make someone thoughtful, observant, and deeply attuned to the world can also make it nearly impossible to switch off. So why does this happen? Why do the same systems that evolved to protect you sometimes keep you trapped in endless review? To answer that, we need to look at the network quietly running in the background, your default mode network. Psychologists use the term maladaptive rumination, the tendency to revisit the same thoughts around uncertainty, social situations, or past events. But beneath that label is something more specific. The brain behaves as though certain mental loops never fully close. Clinical neuroscience describes this as cognitive fragmentation. The mind keeps reopening the same mental file because it never received a clear biological signal that the situation is complete. Your default mode network, the brain's background processing system, handles reflection, self-referencing, and reviewing experience. In a well-regulated system, it activates during rest, processes information, and gradually quiets down. But in some people, the audit never ends. The same conversation gets reviewed. The same possibility gets reconsidered. The same uncertainty keeps pulling attention back toward it. Studies from Yale and the University of Michigan confirm that chronic overthinkers are often exceptionally good at recognizing patterns and anticipating outcomes. The problem isn't intelligence. The problem is the system never receives a convincing signal that the work is finished. And this pattern rarely begins in adulthood. For many, it develops early, in environments where outcomes felt unpredictable, when moods shifted without warning, when consequences seemed random. The brain adapts. It learns to detect subtle signals before they fully surface. Because if you can anticipate what's coming, maybe you can protect yourself. The adaptation works. The challenge is the brain keeps running the same program long after the environment changes. Think about the last conversation you replayed in your head. You already left the room. The other person moved on. The moment was over. But part of your brain kept returning to it. Why? To the brain, all of these register as incomplete, and incompletion triggers vigilance. So the mind stays online. It keeps reviewing. It keeps searching for the missing piece that will close the file. This is a threat reflex. Because uncertainty rarely provides a clean ending, the loop remains active. You leave the conversation, you walk away, but a part of your brain does not. And this is where dopamine enters the picture. Most people think of dopamine as a reward chemical, the thing that fires when you get what you want. But it's also central to motivation, pursuit, and anticipation. Your brain releases small amounts of dopamine while you're searching for answers, even imagined ones, which means an unresolved thought becomes chemically compelling. It's a survival strategy that outlived the situation that created it. Not because you're finding a solution, because the search itself feels important. This is dopamine tagging, the brain rewarding the chase rather than the catch. So when you replay a conversation, analyze every angle, mentally rehearse future outcomes, the loop receives small chemical reinforcements, not for solving the problem, for continuing to chase it. Psychologists sometimes call this the illusion of mental progress. The mind feels like it's moving toward resolution. In reality, it's moving in circles. And this is why just stop overthinking never works. The brain has already learned that continuing the search feels meaningful. It's being chemically reinforced for doing exactly what you're trying to stop. So what actually changes this? The shift isn't purely cognitive, it's physiological. The nervous system needs evidence that the threat is over, not a better argument for why the worry is irrational. The threat detection system doesn't respond to logic, it responds to signals. This is one reason approaches like acceptance and commitment. Therapy prove effective. Rather than fighting thoughts, people learn to change their relationship to them. The goal isn't to stop the mind from generating concerns. The goal is to recognize that a thought is not the same thing as a threat. A thought becomes, my brain is generating a concern right now, instead of, this is a problem I need to solve immediately. That distinction may seem small, but neurologically it matters. The moment you stop treating every thought as an urgent signal, you create space between yourself and the loop. And in that space, the brain begins to recognize that not every uncertainty requires action, analysis, or constant monitoring. The paradox is straightforward. The way out isn't more thinking. It's signaling to the nervous system that the threat has passed, that the scan is complete. You don't override the reflex by arguing with it. You override it by showing the body that the threat is closed. So what does this pattern actually reveal? Here's something most people never realize. The brain doesn't overanalyze things it considers unimportant. It overanalyzes things it believes have consequences. Which means chronic overthinking isn't usually a sign that someone doesn't care enough. It's often a sign that they care too much. About relationships, about outcomes, about how their actions affect other people. And that's where the research becomes interesting. A study published in Psychological Science in 2013 found that people who reported higher levels of rumination also scored higher on measures of cognitive empathy. They were better at understanding how other people think and feel. They notice subtle emotional shifts. They recognize what wasn't said. They understand how their words land on someone else. The same mental machinery that creates exhaustion also creates remarkable perception. Many overthinkers aren't lacking awareness. They have an abundance of it. Their brain became exceptionally skilled at reading the emotional landscape, tracking the signals most people filter out. And here's what matters. The problem was never perception. The problem was that the scan never learned when to end. And that brings us to the deeper point behind all of this. Overthinking isn't really about thinking. It's about vigilance. It's the mind continuing to search long after the situation has passed. It's a nervous system remaining on watch long after the danger is gone. What all of this points to matters far beyond overthinking itself. Overthinking is often the result of a brain that learned to stay alert in an environment where alertness once made sense. You don't think your way to clarity, you signal your way there. Understanding the mechanism won't make the pattern disappear overnight, but the moment you recognize the loop for what it is, that's the moment it begins to loosen its grip. The goal was never to become less aware. The goal was to stop treating awareness like an emergency. Now you know how.